We continue here. Women's Month is an opportunity for us to pay tribute to the many generations of women whose struggles have laid the foundation for the progress made in empowering the next generation. Now, significant strides have been made in the fight against apartheid, gender discrimination, as well as inequality, and also the experiences of women in South Africa remain diverse and also very multifaceted. Let's take this conversation further as we're joined by Ntombifuthi Masinga, who is a KZN Provincial Electoral Officer, as well as Dr. Tumelontle Thiba, who's the Northwest Provincial Electoral Officer. Pleasure to have you both on the program this evening. Ms. Masinga, I'll start with you. As a prominent female leader in the electoral process, how do you reflect on your journey, but also the role of women in electoral management? What are some of the key challenges you faced as a woman in this field?
Maybe to begin with, Ntlantla, good evening and evening to the listeners and the viewers. I think the era in which we joined the Electoral Commission, our landing was a bit softened because there were already women that were in leadership positions in the Electoral Commission. If you could think of people like Brigelia Bam, Thoko Mpumlwane, and Patsy Tlakula, these were the women that were already there, and they made our landing quite soft as ladies who joined the Electoral Commission. But unfortunately, any institution or organization in the country is a reflection of the society that we come from. And unfortunately, the society is still very patriarchal. We live in a society where men are still deemed as natural-born leaders, regardless of whether they can lead or not. And I think this is the challenge not only facing the Electoral Commission and women in the election management space. It's challenges that are ordinarily faced by women on a day-to-day basis in the work environments. The work environments tend to assume that we are all entering the workspace on an equal footing with men, which is not generally true. We have to work a little bit harder as women to prove ourselves. The moment you enter the space as a woman, there is an expectation that you'll be nicer, you won't be as harsh as men, and people expect that they could get away with things easier if a woman is in charge. But I think over the years, we are seeing a bit of a change. As I indicated earlier, there are role models that are there. Us who are leading the commission, there's actually 5 women out of 9 provinces who are leading the commission in the different provinces. And I think we ourselves are becoming role models for young women, especially women of color as well, who are seeing people who look like them in leadership positions. So the challenge that we have is to make it look manageable to the young ladies that are growing and want to occupy the same space. We definitely have to work harder. What I've picked up is that until people realize that you know your craft, you have honed your skills, you understand the space that you are in, they will not take you seriously. So the challenge that we have as women is that we need to continuously prove ourselves so that we gain the confidence that we need to be able to be taken seriously in the world of work in general.
Dr. Thiba, a similar question. What are the specific challenges that women face, especially in the electoral and public service sectors in your province? And how do these challenges impact their ability to perform effectively?
Ntlantla, let me first of all thank Newzroom Afrika for affording us the chance to say whatever we need to say so that, as you say, young women can be, in particular, can be inspired. But I'll also like to start by paying tribute to all the women in elections across the country and also in the Northwest in particular. And if you could just give me a split of a second's indulgence to pay tribute to the 4 members of our team in the Northwest province, whom we buried between February this year and just last week. Mali Fulitsiye, Abuye Mejwamere, Chotleho Legae, Sitlamo Titi Tibedi, and we hope that their precious souls will continue to rest in eternal peace. Now, in the province, our approach to what we term challenges, Ntlantla, is that, you know, we're following the well-known quotation by Henry Ford that a challenge, an obstacle, is that which you see when you move your eye from the goal. We don't, our philosophy in the province is that whatever it is that faces us as a challenge, we have to work through that monster and create an atmosphere that will allow us to perform to our maximum ability. My peer, Mrs. Masinga, has already stated that we are expected to prove ourselves 3 times, 4 times, 5 times more than our male counterparts. In the province, we have decided that we are going to do exactly that which Ms. Masinga says we should do. In other words, work very hard, work diligently, focusing on our talents, because we believe that we have many, and we need to continue doing this, taking into consideration the fact that it is only an obstacle for as long as we want to nourish it to be an obstacle. As soon as we treat that obstacle as a stepping stone by first articulating in unambiguous, straightforward, succinct manner the real gaps that are in our professional growth, heightening our socio-political consciousness to the essence of what democracy in general is and electoral democracy in particular is. We really need to do that so that we can carve our own path without having to find validity externally, find strength in ourselves to make sure that whatever comes our way that resembles a challenge, we deal with that. We're not saying that they are not there. There are those that are perceived, there are those that are real, and there are those that are potential. But all of that we view with the one intention to make sure that we overcome.
Yeah. Ms. Masinga, in the same light, what strategies or initiatives do you believe are necessary to also overcome gender inequality, especially in the electoral management field? And how can these be implemented very effectively in your view?
I think organizations need to be intentional about doing this. Gender mainstreaming, you can never do enough of it in the work environment. And I think policies need to take that into account. We need to be able as organizations to set targets to say we want to develop this cadre of women that are going to assume leadership positions within the election management bodies. And I think whilst there's other legislation that governs labor relations in the workplace environment, I think organizations through internal policies, they need to be able to be flexible enough to accept that we are not starting from the same footing as our male counterparts. And there needs to be specific programs geared at developing women leaders. We need to look internally in our organization, for example, and identify those women that have shown potential. And we need to have programs built to develop them to be able to overcome these barriers, because we still need to work on assisting the women in the workplace develop the confidence that they need to give them the skills and the tools that they need to do that. And we're not going to achieve this by going on with business as usual. We need to be very specific about what target we're setting ourselves. And once those women are identified, what specific programs are going to be put in place to develop them. Those that are already in those positions should go into a structured mentorship program to identify these young ladies and develop them into these positions, because we can't expect that we're going to go with business as usual, but expect to see a different result. I think this is not only talking to the MPs. You will know that we work with political parties as well. The legislation that we have in South Africa, for example, is not prescriptive in terms of how parties need to achieve this balance between the male and female contestants. We have a more persuasive legislation in the country where we leave it up to political parties. And as the Electoral Commission, we are not, for example, able to influence the decisions within political parties, because we don't want to get into a space where we are seen to be wanting to meddle in the internal affairs of political parties. So the issues that we are dealing with are issues that even the political parties that we work with are dealing with, and it's something that we all need to be intentional about to be able to monitor whether we are making progress or not.
Dr. Thiba, similarly, in your opinion, what steps can be taken to better support but also empower women who aspire to enter especially leadership roles within the electoral system, but also in public service as well?
You know, Ntlantla, in my opinion, everybody is a leader in whatever little square or circle that person is. You're too young to remember Alfred Selkirk's story as told in the poem Alone. But you know, that poem starts with a beautiful opening, a monarch of all I survey. The little space where you are, whether you are at the bottom rank of an organization such as ours, you are a monarch of that little space. You are in charge. So you start aspiring from that to grow professionally to a point where you might feel, well, I am okay now as deputy CEO, or I am okay as chief electoral officer. I don't want to be a commissioner, or I'm okay as a commissioner and I don't want to be the chairman of the commission. But those two key concepts, support and empowerment, in my opinion, point to the self. Self-reliance is the first step towards supporting yourself. There is a Setswana expression, two proverbs actually that I like in my language. The one is moleta ngwedi ke moleta lifi. If you wait there for somebody to come and support you, you might wait forever. And another one says, you have to be self-reliant. You have to show that you have potential. You cannot just say, because I am, therefore somebody else will come and help me. No. You support yourself in as many ways as possible. Whether it's in creating a community of like-minded people who will share your aspiration and your dreams of progress with you, professional growth and personal growth. You have to start, you have to initiate this yourself. If I tell you that I wash dishes with a master's degree, so I could put myself through a PhD program because my institution did not give me support, you might not believe this, but this is actually what happened. I washed dishes for 3 years in a university hotel, so I could pay my fees for my PhD, because the entity that was supposed to give me support was not willing to do so. So I had to prove them wrong, that, you know, I'm doing this for myself and not for you. Self-reliance, a uniform focused sense of purpose. This is my dream and I'm going to reach it by any legal means necessary. But because I can't do it alone, let me exist among a community of people who think like me. There are 9 of us in the province, in the country, who are head of provinces, heads of provinces. We have similar and different challenges, but as a community of 9 people, we meet, we discuss, we assist one another so that there can be self-empowerment and professional growth.
Dr. Thiba, let me thank you for your time. Also thanking Ntombifuthi Masinga for their thoughtful reflections and valuable insights, especially on the role of women in safeguarding our democracy.